Beautiful sunrise, last day in April of 2020, and our target today is again La Madre Mountain. There's a good shot of the mountain. We're on Kyle Canyon Road, and just a few hundred feet from the intersection of Harris Springs Road. So we're going to take Harris Springs Road to a four-wheel drive turnoff that leads up to the base of La Madre Mountain. And then we're going to push a little further than we ever had before. See how close we can get to the summit and just explore that La Madre Mountain Wilderness. You can see right over here, that area that looks like a snowfield, large snowfield, right in the center is, and it's just to the right of the top of the mountain. That's called the Devil's Slide. And so we're going to navigate. There's no trails up in that area. We're going to go across the base of the slide and then turn up toward the summit. So that's our goal for the day. It is cold right now, but you know what? It is also, there's the beast, and there's the Mount Charleston Wilderness behind. Let's talk temperature for a moment. The temperatures in Las Vegas are predicted to be 90 degrees. So people say, hey, don't go up into the mountains. Don't do La Madre Mountain when it's predicted to be 90 degrees. Well, actually, it's about 5 degrees cooler every 2,000 feet that you rise. And so when I get up near the top of La Madre Mountain, near the summit, it's going to be more like 70 degrees. Here I'm at 4,000 feet, which will be, when I return, it'll still be around 80 degrees. So I always gauge my temperature based on where I'm headed instead of what the temperature reads in the city. So it's important to remember 5 degrees cooler every 2,000 feet elevation gain. And right now it is about 55 degrees, and I'm dressed for 70 degrees, tank top, shorts. So it is very cold. I'm going to need to get started. But I don't mind being too cold right now because I'm going to be warm later. And maybe a little too warm, who knows. Okay, here we go. Just had to catch this moment of sunrise. And here you see, I'm on Harris Springs Road, by the way. Here you see just the tip of Gas Peak. That's that high point in the background. You see the rising sun. And you can see the sun touching the top of summit of La Madre Mountain. There's the Devil's Slide just to the right of that summit. And then panning around, I believe this might be Harris Mountain, but I'm not totally sure. It might be blocking Harris Mountain, but I know that behind it also is Griffith Peak, and then you see the snow-covered area. That is the upper south ridge of Kyle Canyon. And then there's Mount Charleston right in the center. Here's Fletcher Peak, the tree-covered mountain, no snow in the foreground. And just behind it and to the right is Mummy Mountain. And all of these just beginning to be touched by the sunrise. So we'll make one more 360-degree circuit here. Here's the rugged desert area. Joshua Tree Forest. We're at about 4,300 feet. Our goal is 8,000 feet. Gas Peak again. Sunrise. And then approaching La Madre Mountain. And here is La Madre Mountain. We'll be up in that area. I don't know how close we'll get to the summit today. Just scoping out different potential options. I think I see an option here. That hill just to the right of the summit, the tree-covered hill, looks like there is a potential way from the top of that hill up toward the summit, but looks like it could also get a bit dicey in the cliff area. So again, I don't know. I may go around the base of the Devil's Slide, but then again, it looks like there's kind of a double slide here. You see two sections of the Devil's Slide, and I don't know what it's like to traverse, get across even the lower section. So maybe I'll stick to the high route today and hope for a route up to the summit. I will say that on the other side of that summit area is a cliff that overlooks Red Rock Park and Calico Basin, and so I don't know how sharp and narrow that ridge is, and if it's right on the edge of a cliff, and who knows. We're just going to explore up there and find the best potential route. Okay, and then continuing to circle around. And Mount Charleston Wilderness again. Mount Charleston and Mummy Mountain in the sunrise. Okay, let's continue on up. Harris Springs Road. We're at the first waypoint along the way. And here you see the large road here is Harris Springs Road. And you see a small unpaved four-wheel drive road breaking off to the left. This is where we take that left and head on up toward the summit of La Madre Mountain. Let's take a look at where we are. This is what you can see from that point. Harris Springs Road, looking west. And then here is the Mount Charleston Wilderness, and you can see coming into view much more sharply. You can see Harris Mountain. I don't know if it's the first one or the second one back there. The second one back there might be the second high point, might be Griffith Peak. In the foreground, Harris Mountain. Not entirely sure. We'll know when we get closer. And then there's Mount Charleston and Fletcher Peak, the green tree-covered hill. It's actually over 10,000 feet in elevation. but behind it is Mummy Mountain, which is 11,500 feet. That's why I call Fletcher Peak a hill. And then looking around, if we went over this ridge right in front of us here, we would be on Kyle Canyon Road. And Harris Springs Road pretty much parallels Kyle Canyon Road, but it does deviate and begin to angle off to the south a bit. And then here you see coming into view the tip of the Sheep Range, and circling around here, looking straight down Harris Springs Road. Here is Gas Peak, that high point. And you can see the sun has done some more rising. It's totally in view. Beautiful Joshua tree forests all around us. Adds to the rugged desert atmosphere here. It took me about 30 to 40 minutes to run the trail up to this point, although I was going pretty slow because due to the 90-degree temperature in the Las Vegas Valley, I was thinking, this is going to be hotter than I'm used to up at this elevation, even though the high point, by the time I hit the high point on La Madre Mountain, still be around 70 degrees. I did load my backpack with up to 2 gallons of water. And it's always a question whether to bring lots of water or less water. On the lots of water side, you're less likely to run out of water. And the last thing you want to do on a day like today is run out of water. Boy, that would be brutal and perhaps life-threatening to have to cover some of this lower area on the way back, where we're going to be hitting around 85 degrees by the time we reach this point on the way back. Okay, so that's on the positive side, less likely to run out of water. On the negative side, you pack too much water in your backpack and you're carrying too much water. It creates a lot of resistance as you're running or walking, as you're proceeding forward, and you're sweating a little more, using up more water. You're taking a little longer, which uses up more water, and you're getting tired more quickly, which uses up more water. So there is a golden midpoint where you've got just enough water to make it through the heat, and yet not enough to slow you down and burn up all your energy and resources. So knowing where that golden point is, midpoint, is a challenge, because if you get it wrong on either side, it could be trouble. So you really have to experiment, see how much water your body needs for various temperatures and various levels of exertion, various distances. You almost have to get a whole lot of experience, and but it's something to put on your radar as you're doing adventures in the wilderness. You want to be asking yourself, how much water am I using? How much water do I need? What was the distance I traveled? What was the temperature, average temperature? And eventually you get a feel. I'm maybe, it's the start of the hot season here in Las Vegas, where the furnace turns on, and down in the valley temperatures can rise to 120 degrees. Yet with the 5 degrees per 2,000 feet, if it's 120 degrees in the Las Vegas Valley, it's about 80 degrees up here on Mount Charleston. So there's a lot of calculations that go into determining how much water do you need to carry with you. I'll just leave it at that for now. But be thinking about it. Be gauging water very intelligently. It'll make a big difference in your safety and your comfort during wilderness adventures. Okay, let's go ahead and head up this road. We're closing in on La Madre Mountain. There's La Madre Mountain. You can see how much closer it is now than at that intersection of Kyle Canyon and Harris Springs Road. And here's the unpaved road, the four-wheel drive road that we are on. Few large rocks makes it so that, yeah, I definitely don't want to take my smart car up this road. And I would just take a four-wheel drive car up this road. Okay, now in view here, you can see Griffith Peak just coming into view, and to the right, you've got Harris Mountain, which is this high point in the center. And then, oh, looking around, here's Mount Charleston, and there's Mummy Mountain, and just a little bit to the right of Mummy Mountain is Fletcher Peak. Oh, to the left of Mummy Mountain. Sorry, I get my left and right mixed up when I ascend altitude and I'm running. And then here you can see right in the center, Lee Peak coming into view. Okay, and then continuing to pan around, here's the Mount Charleston Observatory. And then looking down the road, and you can see we've got pine trees and juniper trees that are starting to take over the Joshua trees. Here's the sun's still rising because I've got a ridge to my left, and then back to La Madre Mountain. Okay, here's another waypoint. We're just about at the end of this four-wheel drive road. This is looking down. This is looking up, and in just about 100 feet, 200 feet, it's going to end, and there's going to be a little circle cul-de-sac that you can turn your car around if you have a car, unlike me. Okay, so let's see where we are. There is La Madre Mountain. And the reason I'm not at the very end of the road right now is that this actually has, in some respects, better views. Okay, and here's the Keystone Thrust, top of that ridge system. And El Padre Mountain, La Madre's twin, is either the top of that hill or I think it's beyond that hill. We'll have to check that out. It might actually be this area in here. I don't know. Hopefully we'll be high enough that we'll be able to see the whole upper La Madre Mountain wilderness area. Okay, so moving along. Now we're circling around, and coming into view is Griffith Peak, the snow-capped pointy mountain. There it is, Griffith Peak. And just to the right and a little below is Harris Mountain. Harris Mountain, 10,000 feet, and just a little bit more than that, maybe 300. Griffith Peak, 11,060 feet. See the tip of Mount Charleston? Right there. Snow cap. And then moving around, you can see Lee Peak right in the center. Continuing around, now that snowy high point there is right in the center is Mummy Mountain, and you'll see a tree-covered hill / mountain, 10,300 feet actually. That's Fletcher Peak, and then Mummy Mountain is 11,500. And now you're looking down into Kyle Canyon, lower Kyle Canyon, down there. Mount Charleston, Observatory on the top of this hill. And circling around, you see the junipers in the foreground here, and pines. And then right through this area is the sheep range. So you see quite a bit from this perspective. And everything's so much more clear today because everyone's been doing social distancing and staying off the roads for about 3 weeks now, which makes this one of the clearest days that you will experience in your lifetime in this spot. Okay, and then back to actually this green hill, I said this was a Madre Mountain. You can, if you look real carefully, I think there's a cliff, there's a rocky outcrop behind the top of that green hill, which is the top of La Madre Mountain. We'll get closer views of all this a little later as we rise up. So here we are. We'll go just a little bit further. I'll show you the end of this road and the turnaround. Okay, here we are at the turnaround. I'm going to show you a few things here. And this is only about, I would say 200 feet beyond that last video. But I want to show you some potential routes. The route that we're not taking today, but looks like a possibility, is to head straight up this ridge, up to this high point, look around, see where we are. Of course, you can go to the right or the left and follow that ridge system once you get up there. If you go to the right, you end up at this point right up here, and maybe if you go a little beyond, you'd hit El Padre Mountain. I don't know. We'll try that sometime. Just the whole wilderness exploration here. La Madre Mountains Wilderness, 4 times the size of Red Rock Park, on the other side of Red Rock Park. Okay, the back side as you are coming in the entrance of Red Rock Park, those cliffs. This is the other side of those cliffs that you're looking at right here. Okay, and if you were to go to the top of this high point and then take a left You could, I don't know if you could go on that ridge system. We'll have to take a look when we get above. I don't know what's behind, how rough it is. We'll find out today what things look like behind these hills here. Are you looking down at Red Rock Park, or are you looking at more mountains? And I think more mountains is more like it before you get to the edge of Red Rock Park. Okay, so you could continue along the top there and maybe work your way over to this green high point, which is just, it's blocking La Madre Mountain. La Madre Mountains is just behind it, and I don't know what the terrain is between the top of that hill and La Madre Mountain. They're very close to the same elevation. We're in the 8,000 feet area of range. But, okay, here we are at the turnaround, and I'm going to show you a different route. And this is the route I'm going to take today. I took it a couple weeks ago and have been, and I've perfected the lower part of it. So I'll be able to show you how to navigate this. What we're going to do is we're going to find a trail just beyond this little turnaround, a very faint trail. It's going to take us down into this little canyon, and then up. We're going to go straight across and up to the top of this ridge here. Going to take a right and follow the ridge. That ridge will lead us all the way to this high point. And, kind of circle around. We made it to that high point 2 weeks ago. What we didn't do is continue on up. And so we're going to go from that high point up the ridge to this other high point here. But I'm not sure if you can get across to the summit of La Madre Mountain. It looks pretty rocky with some drop-offs there. So we'll have to assess that if we go up that way. On the other hand, we may skirt the lower part, the side that you cannot see of this high point. And right on the other side of this is the Devil's Slide. And we may see if we could skirt the bottom of the Devil's Slide and then head up La Madre Mountain. That looks like a possibility, but there are a lot of rocky outcrops, ridges, mini cliffs in that area. We just don't know what it looks like. We'll find out today. But for now, we're going to find the little trail here, and it's going to lead us down to the bottom of this canyon, and then we're going to head on up to the top of this ridge and then begin to circle around that ridge up to this high point. And there are no trails here, so you just basically need to follow the contours of the land, the ridges and the valleys. I'm going to stay on top of the ridges because when I do that, I've got a better perspective of what's around me. I hit a few more rocky outcrops, but then in these canyons, there's a lot of plants and debris and rocks, boulders. So I like to stay on top of the ridges and then navigate the ridge tops until I reach the destination that I'm shooting for. And our destination is somewhere in this area, as high as we can get, so that we can look around and see what the terrain looks like on the other side. Okay, here we go. Okay, it looks, okay, we're still at the turnaround, but I wanted to show you how to find the closest thing to a trail that pretty much you got to know where it is. Now there is you'll see that there's a a yellow ribbon tied around a tree, little tree right up ahead. And if you look closely, just to the left of that, it looks like some kind of a trail, potentially. And so you come around the corner, and sure enough, it looks like, yes, this is where we want to be. Now, we don't want to head up in this direction. There's a little pink ribbon around one of the bushes up there. We don't want to head up there because that's going to end up going over a whole another ridge route. That was the first route that I was suggesting could be a route. But we want to continue on here, and then sure enough, as we continue on, this is looking sort of like a trail, but don't be fooled. Yes, it's a trail right now for a little while. It's going to disappear in a bit by the time we get down to the bottom of this canyon and we head up the other side to the top of this ridge across. We're going to be not seeing anything that looks like a trail. So you once again go with the contours of the land, but every now and then there is some help, and here it is. Okay, let's take a look at what things look like at the bottom of this canyon and then at the top of the ridge when we get there. Okay, we just came down to the bottom of that little canyon, and you see a yellow ribbon in the tree in the center there, tied to that tree. And now here's another yellow ribbon, and if you look closely here, it's kind of indicating that this is a good place to go up. And there's another yellow ribbon, and so we're going to travel up to the top of that ridge ahead. So let's check this out. We just got to the bottom of the canyon, and so this is a pretty quick left. If the yellow ribbons aren't on the trees when you're here, know that you don't go more than 20 feet before you turn left after you've reached the bottom of this canyon. Do not make the mistake of heading up the canyon. I did that last time, and it gets you into a lot of debris and trees and rocks and slows you down. So here is the way to go, a left turn. Okay, continuing straight up to the top of that ridge. We hit the bottom of the little canyon, and we took a left and headed up the ridge. And it looked like a little further on you could have, it was almost indicating the trail continued straight. But from my experience last time, I think it's better to get to the top of this ridge and then just ride this ridge all the way up to the base of La Madre Mountain. And of course, you can see that this definitely requires weaving around a lot of trees and looking for, whatever looks like it's going to be a path that's going to take you through, and you can find a semblance of a route here that keeps you from plowing through trees and bushes. And as you can see, here's a view of the surrounding area, and the end of that road was right up on this ridge, which is the other side of the canyon. You see a little lighter area. I believe that's the turnaround I'm not sure, but if that's not it, it's very close to that spot. So, and there's the Mount Charleston Wilderness there, straight ahead. So let's go ahead. Let's continue up to the top of this ridge. And then from that point, we'll be just taking the top of the ridge the whole way, which gives us a much better view than being down in a canyon and seeing nothing. Top of the ridge. And here is a view of the area we just traversed to get up to the top of this ridge. And if you look at the neighboring ridge, which is lower, you can perhaps see right down in this area, down there is the end of the road and the turnaround. And I believe it's pretty much down in this area. I don't know if you can see it here, but it does help to just, kind of remember the, every pattern of trees and rocks has its signature, and somehow I am fortunate that these patterns get etched in my subconscious, so that when I return, it's going to be important not to continue along this ridge down in this direction, although I could probably figure out how to find my route back even if I went down that direction. But it would be nicer to head down, find that exact spot at the end of the four-wheel drive road as I did last time on the return trip. And what that will enable me to do is be on a road on the way back, and not, navigating this type of terrain and perhaps even more brush as we go downhill and return. You just don't want to go straight through the open brushland here. And so, okay, where are we headed? We're on a ridge now. So we're going to head along this ridge. It's going to angle off to the left, and you can see where the ridge takes a kind of left turn, and it goes up to this point, which is around about where we ended up on our last trip 2 weeks ago. And oops, we've got a little animal here. I don't know what it is, but let's see if we can see what it is. I know there are mountain lions in the area. Oh no, it's just a it's just a jackrabbit. Mountain lion food. Okay, so anyway, up to this point where we were last time, and then we're going to take a right, and we're going to head up this other ridge system to somewhere near the top of this hill in the middle, where we'll be able to look straight across almost to the summit of La Madre Mountain. That's got to be only 200 or so feet below the summit of La Madre Mountain. But if we want to get to the actual summit of La Madre Mountain, we might need to go over that ridge. And over that ridge is the Devil's Slide. And we might try to navigate through the Devil's Slide. I think there's an opening halfway down the Devil's Slide. We'll see. So I don't know what I'm going to do when I get up to that point. I've never been there before. I may just go up to this high point, look around, see how close I can get to La Madre Mountain summit, and then also look around at the terrain that you can see from that point. And maybe we'll see where El Padre Mountain is. And I'm thinking that El Padre could actually be this area right here, but I'm not sure. We won't know until we're up higher and we can really look at the terrain. So anyway, that's the direction we're going, along this ridge, up to this point, taking a right, heading up toward the top of that hill, and just looking around to see if there's a way over to La Madre Mountain from there. Okay, onward. Continuing on up the ridge, as I mentioned, there's a high point up ahead where you're going to take a right and then follow a saddle that is going to take you up to this high point in the foreground. This is that hill we were looking at, and now you can see emerging behind it the cliff of the summit of La Madre Mountain. So when we get a little higher, we'll determine how we're going to get there. Are we going to go up to this high point and then try to make it across? I think we might be hitting cliff faces if we do. Or are we going to try and navigate through the middle of the Devil's Slide? There's a split in the slide. I don't know. We got to see what happens when what it looks like when we get up there. But one thing I just wanted to mention, this ridge that we're on now, there is a spine that's, you know, kind of a rocky area, a class 3 area actually, and I went up the other side of this ridge, hung to the left side of the ridge last time, and you end up really having to navigate some rocky areas. I'm going up the right side this time, and the terrain is I think it's better. This is the way I came down last time, and that's why I'm going up this way. But there's a lot more weaving around bushes and stuff, but you're not trying to navigate going up and over rocky areas like this over and over again, which is also a challenge. And then looking around, you see we're on pine trees now. Junipers are starting to give way to more pines, but there's still a lot of junipers here. And then you can see right in the center there, Griffith Peak, and then just to the right of that, Mount Charleston, and the snow-capped mountain there. To the right, the smooth dome, and then to the more immediate right in the little foreground of Griffith Peak is this high point is Harris Mountain. So gives you an idea where all we are. And then you can see as you're looking in this terrain up ahead, you're basically looking at the top of the Keystone Thrust that you go over the edge of that, and it's the cliffs looking over to Red Rock Park and Calico Basin, but you can navigate along the top of that. It's just quite a bit of trial and error navigation. We haven't gone all the way. We've almost gotten to La Madre Mountain, or almost to El Padre Mountain, and I don't even know where El Padre is right now, but this is our goal for the day. See how high we can get up here and look around and just see where we are, see what things look like. Okay, onward. We're on new ground now. We're on the saddle that was that right turn at the top of the ridge that we ascended. We ascended the left side, no, the right side on the way up to miss some of the rocky outcrops there. But I think that you know, traversing just below the summit of that ridge brought its own challenges and took a lot of time and energy. So I might try to stay more to the top of the ridge and there is the point where you turn right. And I believe I made it to that point, that hill, 2 weeks ago. So now we are in new ground. Good point of reference for on the way back is the Charleston Observatory on top of this hill, and then Mount Charleston Wilderness is just to the left of that. And to get an idea of where we started, that's going to be down, I believe that this area down here is the intersection of Harris Springs Road and Kyle Canyon Road. And that's pretty much where we started. It's been, about 3.5 hours, if you don't count the time that I've been doing videos. Okay, and here is the sheep range. And looking over this direction, there's Gas Peak right in the center. Helps to know the landmarks around us. And now we're panning around the Madre Mountains Wilderness, and then you can see through the trees the summit of La Madre Mountain. How we're going to get there, I do not know, because there is a lot of cliff action between here and La Madre Mountain. So just traversing this area looks like it's fairly difficult. So I might just continue up this ridge rather than try to traverse through this area. As you can see, there are plants and there are rocks and cliffs and all sorts of things between here and the summit of La Madre Mountain. So for today, let's just go up this ridge, see how high we get, and look around, see what we can see. So onward, up we go. Well, we're continuing to rise up that hill just to the right of La Madre Mountain, and we've passed the saddle, and now we're heading up, and looks like we've got a little class 3 climb here, and I don't know how much of that there is, so we want to avoid getting into a dead end here, but we're going to continue on up here. And La Madre Mountain is right over the top of this this rock section, and over the top, and another 1,000 feet elevation gain. So we're about 1,000 feet below the summit right now. Anyway, continuing along up this ridge. After a little class 3 climbing over rocks, we are at another saddle, a higher saddle, and up here is that summit that's to the right of La Madre Mountain. I'd like to get up there and just look around. I think I'll be able to see a lot more of the La Madre Mountain Wilderness from that point. So I'm going to keep navigating around, and there's an avalanche slope in the way. Looks like it could be a few class 3 climbs, but it doesn't look impossible, and I don't see any class 4 I don't see any need to do class 4. So yeah, I definitely am not prepared or experienced enough to do anything above a class 3. So as long as I can continue on up in my comfort level, I'm going to continue. Now, curiously, here, let's take a 360-degree view. Let me get beyond this tree here. And it looks like one could almost, it'd be great if I could get across this area to this summit and then just head straight down to the four-wheel drive road, which will be down there somewhere at the base of that ridge system down in the distance here. So that might actually be easier than the way I came, but I don't know. We'll just do a whole lot of experimentation today and exploring around this upper La Madre Mountain Wilderness area. Here's a great view of the Mount Charleston Wilderness. And you can see Griffith Peak, the pointy snow-covered peak. And just to the right, a little below, is Harris Mountain, right in the center there. And then to the right of that, Mount Charleston. Now you're seeing a very different perspective here. And just to the right of Mount Charleston, now in the center, is Lee Peak. And then circling around, there in the center is that taller mountain, is Mummy Mountain, and in front of it is the 10,300 foot Fletcher Peak. It looks like a green hill. It's tree covered. Mummy Mountain, 11,500. And then here is a shot of the Mount Charleston Observatory. So let's zoom out here and look at all these features from a little further, and I think you'll have a clearer view. So here are the landmarks that I just pointed out. And again, the goal is to see if we can get to this point on the way back. But before we do that, we need to make it up this hill. So that's another 200-300 feet from where we are, and that would put us within 500 feet of the summit of La Madre Mountain. We'll be able to see La Madre Mountain summit from the top of this hill if we can get there. I don't know what's between me and the top of that hill, so we're going to find out. So that's where we are, and fortunately things have opened up a little bit here, and just for a little ways there is a clearer route through the trees and the bushes and the rocks. Okay, onward to this next high point. Well, continuing up, there's still nothing beyond a class 3 climb here. And by the way, if you're wondering what that Devil's Slide is made of, when you look from Kyle Canyon Road or the distance and you see the Scar or Devil's Slide on La Madre Mountain, it's probably very similar to this. And it's, as a matter of fact, right over the top of this hill. Hopefully we'll get a good look at it when we hit the top of this hill. So anyway, we're continuing on up, and let's take a look around. And definitely the incline has increased dramatically. On the way back, we'll want to stick to this ridge, or maybe we'll see a connector to the other route that I had mentioned a little earlier. And you can see the Mount Charleston Wilderness coming into sharper view at this point. We are, around 7,300 feet elevation. And of course, those mountains, those snow-capped mountains are between, the snow you see is between 10 and 12,000 feet approximately. So it's a long ways up. So here we go, continuing on up this class 3 area, and we'll see if we can be sitting on the top of it soon. Well, there's the summit of La Madre Mountain, and I see a way actually to make it up there. It's only about it's like a quarter mile to a half mile from where I'm standing, and at about 400 feet elevation higher than where we are. And here you can see a great view from the top down of the Devil's Slide, or some people call it the La Madre Scar. So there it is. It's interesting that it glistens in the summer sun, making it look like it's white and covered with snow. I call it the permanent snowfield. But as you can see, even on the last Saturday of April, it is pretty much free of snow. I don't think I'd want to climb up that. That would require experience that I do not have. But, as I was saying, looks like there's a way from here to the summit. And it just is a matter of, climbing down this little section here, which is like nothing. Hopefully I can get back up it, because there aren't many other options. But then you climb down. There aren't many other options on the way back. But then you just basically follow this area. I can even see faintly where other people have gone before. And you head up to the right of the Devil's Slide, way to the right, circle around, and then on up to the summit. It looks a little dicey up there, and I may not do it today, but at least I know that I can get to this point in approximately 4 hours from the point of origin, which again is down this way. And yes, you can see it very clearly. There's the end of Harris Springs Road, and it tees out at Kyle Canyon Road. And then just a little bit to the left, you see that spot that kind of looks like a gravel lot or whatever. That's what it is, where the beast is parked right now. That is where we began. So, oops, sorry. Okay, yes, there you go. And so, getting more of a perspective how far that is. There it is down there. Let's see what else we can see. There is the sheep range. And we're about a couple thousand feet below the summit of the Sheep Range right now. And then moving along, I gotta watch where I'm standing because there aren't many secure places to stand right here. But I'm used to that. There, that little point is the summit of Gas Peak. And if you trace your way below that and a little to the right, you can perhaps make out a triangular, very faint triangular road system that is the Clark County Gun Range. And then we're looking straight down into Centennial Hills from this point. So give you an idea of Centennial Hills from here. And then of course looking at the rugged area around La Madre Mountain. I would say that when all is said and done, I may have gone around a 25-mile plus round trip to this adventure. And so it is, and the terrain is much more challenging than Mount Charleston. There's the observatory, Charleston Observatory, and then you can see from this perspective Mummy Mountain, and in front of it is Fletcher Peak, and then you see a little area right in the middle of the screen that is Lee Peak, and then just to the left of that there's Charleston Peak, and then over this way Griffith Peak. Now some other points of interest. I said earlier that when we reached this point we would be able to get a much better perspective on the La Madre Mountain Wilderness, the upper La Madre Mountain Wilderness. And so you might notice on the south La Madre, La Madre South page of Las Vegas Area Trails, where I've made a few attempts to ascend the cliffs and that area right between La Madre and El Padre Mountain. And guess what? There's La Madre. There's El Padre, and that cliff area, we've almost made it to the top from the south. It's right in the center of the screen between those two mountains. So this is a northern view of what that looks like. And then another thing that we've done is taken on the La Madre West page of Las Vegas Area Trails. We have started at the Willow Springs picnic area in Red Rock Park, ascended the Keystone Thrust, and we have gone along the top of the Keystone Thrust. I do believe I made it to this point. Maybe not quite so far, I don't know. But here you can see basically the top of the Keystone Thrust from this direction. And so that's another route that could achieve the summit of La Madre Mountain. So here you have the other potential summit routes, at least the south route, the west route, And where we are, what we did today is the northern route to La Madre Mountain, though we have not yet made the summit. But it looks very possible. I believe that, we're looking at another 45 minutes and we would be, if not standing on the summit, we would be pretty close to the summit. But I don't know if I'm going to do that today. I need to just take stock of where I am and then sleep over it for a few weeks. Let the sun rise earlier so I get an earlier start and maybe get up here sooner. Right now it is about 11 o'clock and we started at 5:30, but count the time for videos and it's been about 4 hours to get to this point. So maybe a little later in the season, start at 4:30. I'll do a temperature check in a bit, but as I mentioned, the temperature down in Las Vegas at this moment is approaching 90 degrees down in the valley, and it really feels like it couldn't be warmer than 70 here. The challenge, of course, is heading back down to where we began this journey, and let's see, yes, right down in this area. Once we descend a certain distance here, we're going to be experiencing some pretty substantial heat. But that will be just an hour or two that we need to deal with that, and we'll be going downhill. So I believe that I've planned this out temperature-wise pretty well. Anyway, here we are, deep in the La Madre Mountain Wilderness, almost at the summit of La Madre Mountain, and actually seeing what looks like a pretty clear path to the summit for a future adventure. Okay. I think I'm going to rest, get something to eat, refuel. By the way, if that's La Madre and this is El Padre, I'm just going to call this little point where I am standing at the moment La Nina, because it's almost there and it kind of stands out on its own. And if I were to name another one, I would call that point over there El Nino. There's the family. La Madre, El Padre, El Nino, and La Nina. Okay, I guess I'm getting loopy up here, but there you have it. A few final words up on this great spot. And we were talking about temperature earlier and the temperature difference. I have cell reception, and so I can go to the National Weather Service site and see what it is, what the temperature is down in the Las Vegas Valley. And it is between 88 and 90 degrees at this moment. Now, that is at an elevation of around 2,000 feet. Now, if you're down on the strip, you're looking at probably 92 degrees. What is it up here? I have a watch that does temperature, and that watch is telling me it's about 68 degrees. And so we've got a 20 degree difference. And if you do the math, it does stick to right around that 5 degrees per 2,000 feet elevation gain. Another thing that I would say is that we're in the midst of the COVID-19 social distancing. And this is just a social distancing report from on, near the summit of La Madre Mountain. And as you can see, there is Centennial Hills down there, about, 20 miles away from where I'm standing. And there are a few roads down below, but I believe I have successfully social distanced myself, because there's probably not another human within 10 miles of me at this moment. So there you have it. That's the report from near the summit of La Madre Mountain today. Now we're heading down and navigating all those rocks and class 3 climbs on the way down. And let's see, where are we headed? Oh, yeah, I can't see it from here. I just have to piece my way along and retrace my steps. It took me about 4 hours to get up to this point. Now we're going to see how long it takes to return. It's 11:46 right now, so we'll have a I'm thinking about 3 hours to return, but I'm not sure. There's a lot of rocky areas and brush to overcome on the way down to this point of origin down here. So who knows, it may be as slow going down as it was coming up till we hit that road at least. So here we go. Well, if I had any doubts whether I brought enough water, the water that I had in my Camelback is just run out. And I have, in addition, 4 additional waters. I'm going to put 3 of them into the Camelback, and you can see there's a Gatorade also. There's another water in my pack still. Here we are looking up. We made that point up there. And we're coming down the ridge now. And our target is somewhere on that next ridge over, right about that area. And we'll find it when we get down there. But anyway, yes, I need those waters, and in particular, now we're descending to the hottest part of the day, which is going to be the next, down to the four-wheel drive road, and then down the four-wheel drive road, and down Harris Springs Road, all the way to Kyle Canyon. That's going to be a hot time, and we'll maybe need all the water that I brought. I may end up with about zero by the time I get home or get back to the car. So anyway, continuing on down, I just need to get down to this part of the ridge and then take a left down into the valley and then up the next ridge, and that's where we'll find the four-wheel drive road. And then it's pretty much a 1 hour 15-minute run to Harris Springs and Kyle Canyon Road. So anyway, feeling good at this point, and right on track. So continuing on. Nailed it again. Here is the end of the four-wheel drive road, and came out just at the right spot. So let the races begin. It is 2:05. I'm predicting that by 2:30 we'll be back at Harris Springs Road and Kyle Canyon Road, where we began. So here we go. By the way, did I say 2:30 for the return? Mind gets a little loopy after all this working out and altitude and everything that's involved. I meant 3:30 if I had actually said 2:30. Okay, 3:30 is our ETA back to the beast car. Okay, here we go. Okay, we are back at the beast, our little smart car at the end of the row there. And just to give you a summary, we started down about 12 o'clock. It is now 3:30, so 3.5 hours down. That doesn't sound right. About 4 hours up. I think I was faster than that. The time from when I started running down the four-wheel drive road, about 1 hour and 5 minutes. So it's been an amazing day. Again, what we've done is we started here, and there is the beast right at the end of the row. And we made a 25 to 30 mile round trip up close to the top of La Madre Mountain. We were above the top of Devil's Slide there. So it's been an amazing day, and it looks like La Madre Mountain is not a difficult mountain to summit. I just needed another half mile and 400 feet and I would have been on the summit, and it looked like the terrain would allow that. So next time I come up, we'll go up La Madre Mountain. We found El Padre Mountain next to La Madre, and the route up to El Padre, which is actually top of the dirt road and then straight up this hill in the center, and then take a left and circle around, you'll be at El Padre Mountain. So we can do both La Madre and El Padre. That's on the list. And the heat was not a tough situation at all today. But I think that at this elevation, 4,400, that we've got to be around 80 degrees, 85 at the most. Nice cool breeze. So that really helped. Used up just about all the water. I'll show you in a bit what's left. And so we definitely didn't overestimate the water too much. Okay, what an amazing day. Okay, signing off for the day. We will return. Okay, just to give you an idea how much water I actually used getting up to La Madre Mountain today. That 25-mile round trip in, well, it's 90 degrees in Las Vegas, and about 70 up in La Madre Mountain. Anyway, as you can see, there are 4 containers of water, and I used 3 of them. These were the refills. I actually started out with this container. This Camelback was full, and yeah, I don't know how much it holds. I'm not sure I can read the designations on the side, but it looks like maybe a couple liters. Yeah, 2 liters. And so I had that full of 2 liters, and then I used all that. Then I refilled with 3 of these guys, and each of them are, let's take a look. What is that? 16.9 fluid ounces. So 16.9 fluid ounces, and then 1 Gatorade container. And let's see about what that was. It was about 20 fluid ounces. So 20 fluid ounces of Gatorade, and I'd say 30 ounces because I had a half of the second container. So 30 ounces of Gatorade, and then 2 liters plus plus 3 times approximately 17 ounces. I used all that water. There's a little bit left here. So you get the idea. Took a lot of water. Get up to La Madre Mountain. And it's great that we can see La Madre Mountain from this point. There's La Madre Mountain. So when it's 90 degrees down in the Las Vegas Valley, and you're doing a 25-mile round trip up La Madre Mountain, that's how much water it's going to take. And it was enough. And as I mentioned, the temperature went down 5 degrees for every 2,000 feet elevation gain. I was, we're around 2,000 feet here right now, and I was up at close to 8,000 feet on La Madre Mountain. So, yeah, the temperature was down to 70 up at the top of La Madre Mountain. It is 90 degrees here right now. in Las Vegas, and if you're down in Henderson and you're at a lower elevation, it's probably 95. So that's pretty much how it went down today.